I took a drive down today to Newington, Connecticut, and to Retro Games Plus. I go there once every couple of months or so just to see what there is, and I think I did pretty well today. I'm actually going to show everything that I've got, so this video may be a little bit on the long side. So I'm going to try and just get going so I can show you all the stuff. A lot of it is sports related, as you know. I am also the retro referee, so I like to grab sports games whenever I can find them. They generally tend to just be sitting by their lonesome on shelves, so no one wants them but me, so I am all too happy to go ahead and snap those up. For example, this here is a first run edition of NBA 2K right there, and I'm actually going to go ahead and take the price label off. I actually have, well, actually I'm not going to take the label off because it's stuck. I actually have the All-Stars version of this, which is in orange, so it's nice to have the first run version of the game. That's what the disc looks like on the inside. Also an ad for NFL 2K there as well. It's nice to have that first run copy. I had been looking for one for a while and didn't have one. I have a first run of NFL 2K and of NHL 2K, but not of NBA 2K, so that is always good. The next thing I want to show you is something I'm excited about, and you wouldn't think it's a big deal because it's a game that's fairly easy to come across. It's not like rare or anything like that, but it's because of what's inside that I decided to pick this up. I'm going to show you NHL 94 here. Now, you know what NHL 94 is. I mean, it's one of the most popular hockey games of all time, and this isn't even like a limited edition version of the game, but what was inside that counts. When you open up the case, you do have the manual, of course, which you want to have the manual. And you also have ads here for FIFA Soccer. And you have an ad for the 4-score. I believe that's the 4-score here. Or the 4-way. I'm sorry, the 4-way adapter. And you have a warranty card. So that's also nice to get all of those things. But what's really stood out, aside from the cartridge being in good shape, by the way, what really stood out to me was the fact that there were trading cards included. I had not seen these before, and it was really cool to find these. So there's apparently a full set of these NHL 94 hint cards, so kind of hopefully the camera will zoom in. You could order these from EA in San Mateo. There are 225 of them, 155 player cards, 28 team cards, 8 special skill cards, 14 designer tips, 20 new features. So that was cool. I love that. But I got a sample. I have 3 cards here that are part of this. I have a Brian Leach card from the Rangers. Those of you old people like me probably remember Leach. And on the back, it shows you a bunch of ratings and some information about him. So I got Brian Leach. I got Peter Klima from the Oilers right there. And that's what Pete's stats look like. And finally, we have the wraparound goal shoot wide like strategy card. And it actually shows you kind of like what they're talking about on the back of the card. So I'm wondering whether my buddies at NHL94.com know about these. They must. They probably have the whole set. But I thought that that was a really neat find. I love finding games like that that have special trading cards or other additions in them. So I'm all too willing to go ahead and snap those up. So I picked that up today as well. Speaking of EA Sports, and before EA Sports was a thing, they were called the Electronic Arts Sports Network, or EASN. And the first game that EA published for the Super Nintendo was John Madden Football, this guy right here. That is Mr. Madden on the cover. And you can still see the EASN logo, which eventually would change from EASN to EA Sports. And that's kind of what it looks like on the back. I reviewed this for the Ultimate Guide to the Super Nintendo. Not a great game, honestly, but still, you have to start somewhere, and that's what they certainly did. There are no extras in here. It's just the cartridge and the manual, but I find the EASN advertising or branding to be pretty special. So that's why I picked that up. Again, the Super Nintendo is celebrating its 30-year anniversary here in the U.S. a little bit later this year. Now I've got some PS2 games. PS2 is one of my favorite consoles to collect for. There are a ton of sports games for it, and some sports games that I just didn't have yet. For example, I have Cool Borders 2001 right here. This was an early PlayStation 2 game. This comes from, I believe, Idle Minds, and Idle Minds would go on to later on create a game called Pain for the PlayStation 3, which I absolutely adored. But this is Cool Borders 2001. It is a blue-backed disc. I'm hoping that the disc is in good shape. Blue-backed discs always make me a little nervous. It looks like it's okay. And what's interesting about this, I think, is that the soundtrack stands out to me because there are some pretty interesting artists on here. I'm wondering if the credits are here. We have, let's see, I know that there's some, there's some Stone Temple Pilots here. There is, I guess that's it. Stone Temple Pilots, I guess, or Zakk Wylde is on here too. There are 2 Stone Temple Pilots songs on here. Sony was pretty good with their soundtracks, much like they secured Seven Dust for ATV Off-Road Fury. So this was pretty neat. Again, I have not played this. I really am not very good at snowboarding games, and this was far and away surpassed by SSX, but nevertheless, it is a find, and I didn't have it before today, so now I do. This is Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer. Now, I only had this disc only. I didn't have it complete, so I do now. This is part of the Activision O2 line. After the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games, Activision decided to branch out and do its own extreme brand of games. So we had Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer. We had Wakeboarding Unleashed. We had Sean Palmer's Pro Snowboarder, I believe. I think I'm probably getting the name wrong. You guys can correct me in the comments. But again, I had this just at disc only, so now I have it complete with the manual and with the disc. I'm wondering, EA usually is not very good with its licensing in terms of soundtracks here. I want to just look to see whether it's listed. It is. Let's see if there's anything I recognize. There's a lot of music here. Not a lot. Ben Harper. That's something I recognize. Perry Farrell. Quantum Dub Force. Thunderball is here twice. Jack Johnson. It gives me serious Curious George vibes. Truby Trio, Sunchild. So this is, again, it's going to be very very surfboard-ish. And I don't know a lot about surfing culture, so perhaps these songs are more relevant, or these artists are more relevant to surfing culture, but nevertheless, now I have it, so I'm happy about that. Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer. For my fellow Midway fans, I have had this disc only. I had been looking on eBay to try and get a complete copy of this, or even a sealed copy of this to do for the channel, but I really couldn't find anything, and today I got lucky. This, to me, is not a great game. It's not really in my favorites in terms of the jam-ish type basketball games, but nevertheless, getting a complete copy of NBA Hoops was a surprise and something that I'm very happy to have. Yes, that is the Big Aristotle, Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq Daddy, or Shaq Diesel on the front there. And this is very early. You can see the disc and the disc art there. This, I believe, is 3-on-3 instead of 2-on-2, so that adds another element to the game. I really didn't like the 3-on-3 setup, but again, that's just me. Your mileage may vary. But still, it's a Midway game coming from Eurocom. It is a blue-backed disc, however, so if you're thinking about picking this game up for your PS2, just remember that it is blue-backed, so if your PlayStation has issues with CD-ROMs, just kind of be ready for that. I'm hoping that mine is up to the task. We will see. Another game that I didn't have before today, and I don't know a lot about this, is ATV Quad Power Racing 2. I think this started out as a PlayStation game, and now we have the PlayStation 2 sequel. I don't know if it's going to focus. I'm sorry if it doesn't. I don't know a lot about this, honestly. I don't even know who the development team is behind it. I know it's an Acclaim game. AKA is like Acclaim's big extreme sports branding. Godsmack, Audio Vent, Rollins Band, Midtown. So a pretty decent soundtrack, just not very much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 songs on the soundtrack only. And that's despite being on a DVD-ROM. So that's pretty interesting stuff. It is ATV. It's nothing like ATV Off-Road Fury, which probably is far and away the better game. That's from Rainbow Studios, by the way, which has done some phenomenal work with vehicle racing games. But nevertheless, it's a game I didn't own, so I am happy to add that to my library as well. Whether I will cover it at some point, I don't know. I really couldn't answer that question, but we'll see as we go. More to come here. Speaking of acclaim, we have AllStar Baseball 2002. This was the first GameCube baseball game, and this is the first All-Star Baseball game, I believe, that made it to the PS2. This is another blue-backed game. That is Derek Jeter on the cover. I believe that Derek was the cover athlete for all of the years of All-Star Baseball. This is more simulation than arcade style. I always had trouble getting used to the hitting in this game. I never really was great at it, but I think it's notable in that it's the first of the All-Star Baseball series to reach Generation 6 consoles. I have the GameCube game up in my library, which you can't see. It's out in the living room there. But this was a neat find. Again, it is a blue-backed disc, so I'm hoping that this has kind of stood up. It looks like it's rarely been used. That's usually the case with sports games because they're not played all that often, but that was a cool find. Another game that I had disc only before today, and I thought that I would go ahead and pick this up because it was complete, is Driving Emotion Type S, which I believe was a launch title or an early title for the PS2 here. This is another blue-backed game. I guess that's just what I picked up today. This is a driving simulation, similar to maybe a Gran Turismo-ish kind of setup. I don't know a lot about this. I have the disc, but I've rarely played it. I think I put it in my PS2 like twice, and I really didn't get very far. This, to me, reminds me a little bit of Enthusia. It's like this simulation game, this little 2-bit simulation for its own good. But I'll tell you more once I get a chance to play it. There are licensed cars in here and real tracks, too. Suzuka and Tsukaba circuits from Japan. And a bonus track exclusive to the US and European versions as well. So that is pretty cool. I don't know a lot about this off the top of my head, but I'm looking forward to putting it through its paces. Can you believe it has been 20 years almost since this game came out? I'm actually going to be doing a video of the 2002 sports year NFL games for the PS2. I have sealed copies of NFL 2K2 and of Madden 2002, but this game I could not find a sealed copy of. So I have a complete version of it instead. This is NFL Game Day 2002. I believe that's Donovan McNabb on the cover. Game Day at this point in the PlayStation 2's lifespan, and really in the lifespan of the series, was already starting to go downhill. Madden had overtaken it by this point, and kind of balance to the force was restored. Although the NFL 2K series, this was going to be their first year that we were going to see that on the PlayStation, so there was another bona fide competitor for the Madden series, and that would, of course, start the 2K versus EA Sports war, which we've talked about on the channel before. So it was nice to find this. Again, this one actually is a DVD-ROM, but it looks like it has everything included, and by everything I mean I do have like the warranty card here as well. When I take a look at the disc, I'm hoping it's in good shape. I actually do want to play these a little bit. Doesn't look bad. I do want to try this a little bit. One thing that the PlayStation 2 Game Day games was great with was the introduction movies, because they were using those right from NFL Films, including the NFL Films music and the announcer, and they looked fantastic. Unfortunately, from there, it was all downhill. I didn't have this before. I have to preface this by saying that I am not the biggest boxing guy. Outside of Punch-Out, I'm really clueless. I do have the Knockout Kings games, and I play them from time to time. But when I saw Fight Night 2004, I thought that I needed to give this a shot. It is complete. It has the disc and it has the manual. The disc is a DVD-ROM, so when I take a look here, the disc looks like it's in pretty good shape. A couple of surface scratches, but not too bad. I don't know a lot about this. What I do know, however, is this is another game I believe that uses the EA Sports Bio function, and I've talked about this before, where it kind of tracks all of your EA Sports gaming for this 2004 sports year. I think it uses Bio. I'll have to check to be sure. I know it looks pretty cool, and I believe that it runs at 60 frames per second, so I think that that is neat, but I would certainly have to learn the ins and outs of this game. But it's a game I don't have. That in Fight Night Round 2 is another one that I'm looking for to kind of complete the little set just to have it. Then we move to GameCube. Now, with the GameCube celebrating its 20th anniversary here in the US this year, it made sense to kind of shore up some of my GameCube sports games. I have some, but not a lot. And one of the reasons for that is that the GameCube memory card is tiny. So in order to save sports games, you're basically taking an entire memory card if you're going to save your progress. However, if you're not saving your progress and you're just going to play from game to game, they are interesting to go to just to take a look to see how they compare against the PlayStation 2. This is Madden 2002, which celebrates its 20-year anniversary this year. That, I believe, is Dante Culpepper on the front. Number 1 for a reason, it says right up there. For those of you who remember, Madden 2002 and all of the GameCube games are on these tiny, tiny discs, these tiny optical discs. This does have the instruction manual to it, which is nice. The instruction manual, surprisingly, is also in full color. Not exactly something you expected from EA a lot, but this is in color. And it does have like that purple there, so it's definitely focusing on the indigo color that the GameCube was most known for. There is a lot of information here. This manual is over 40 pages in length, so there's a lot to read there. I have not played the GameCube version. I have played the PS2 version, and again, we'll be talking about that a little bit later this year, but it was nice to have that because I didn't have it. And this was the first of the GameCube Maddens as well. Madden 2003 was not available, but Madden 2004 with Mike Vick, the ultimate weapon, he was here, so I went ahead and picked this up. If you played Madden 2004, you know what I mean about Mike Vick being the ultimate weapon. That guy was fast outside of the pocket and very difficult to stop. So getting this game, again, made sense. I have the original PlayStation 2 version. I even have the original PlayStation version, honestly. But I wanted to see how the GameCube version would stack up. When I open this up, it looks like the manual is here. Unlike past years, or unlike a Madden 2002, however, the Madden 2004 manual is just in black and white once you take it out. So that's Madden 2004. Keeping it going, this is Madden 2006. Soft Drink TV on YouTube is a big fan of Madden 2006, and I've seen him often play it for the GameCube, so I wanted to get the GameCube version for myself to see how well it played. I like Madden 2006, honestly, and it was a game that did not take its foot off the pedal after removing the 2K games from the equation. I thought that EA Tiburon did a really good job with this game. It was before things started to go downhill a little bit. When we open this up, it does have the instruction manual, and it has the disc on the inside. So that's Madden 2006. I actually have a good story to tell about this game, but that is for a video that I will do soon. And finally, I have Madden 07, this guy right here. Not much different, except it's just the GameCube version of the game. I actually have Madden 06 and 07 that I'll be opening, I believe, for Unsealed at some point soon. So that is what's on the inside there. And the last game that I have to show, and I picked this up only because I thought about going back to this for the PlayStation 2, and when I saw it for the GameCube, I wanted to grab it just to see how it was in comparison. This is Agent Under Fire 007 for the GameCube, also for the PS2. This is a first-person shooter with 007, so it has that GoldenEye vibe, although it's certainly nothing near what GoldenEye is to the 007 series. But I'll be interested to see how well this plays, how well it looks, how well it performs versus this PlayStation 2 counterpart. I actually like these games, although I'm not great at them. And this is when first-person shooters are really starting to come into their own. So I think that this is an interesting piece of history. Everything is here, by the way. We have the manual here. We have the disc here. And the manual, if we take a look inside, it's only black and white, sadly. Not everything is here, but the manual, again, is beefy. The manual, as we take a look here, is pretty thick. It is 35 plus pages, and I believe that that it uses Pierce Brosnan as like the 007 character model, which I actually am a big Pierce Brosnan fan for the character. Nothing against the others, and Sean Connery certainly did a great job. But for me, like, Pierce Brosnan just exudes the spy-type 007 character that I was always interested in. So that's for the games. I have two big things left to show. The first big thing I was really excited to find because I don't see these in the wild very often. I actually had to open up one of these last year because the one I was using it stopped working right. I had some problems with it, so I opened it up, and I didn't have any more new ones in the chute. Now I have a brand new PlayStation 2 DualShock 2 controller. This is Ocean Blue. This is still sealed. It is a Sony first-party controller. You don't find these often, and when you do find them on eBay, they usually go for a lot of money. I actually got this for less than sticker. Thanks again to Retro Games Plus for working with me on all the stuff that I bought today. But I'm really, really excited to have this because you don't find these that often, and I really don't like using these bootleg third-party controllers that are out there now that work, but they're not really licensed, and I do worry about damage to controller ports. So I'm happy, very happy to have this. And at some point, when the controller that I'm using stops working, I will open this on camera before I start to use it. So this is it. The last thing to show, and it is big. When I saw it on the shelf, I was kind of skeptical because I don't really need it. I actually have a backup system to use when the system that I'm using currently stops working. But at the end of the day, I decided to take a shot anyway. This is a launch version or a first model of the original PlayStation from circa 1995. This is SCPH 1001. This is the model that has the RCA ports for the video port and the two audio ports in the back, or you could use the AV multi-out. This is the only one of these consoles that did that. After this model, I believe, Sony got rid of the three RCA ports and just stuck with the AV multi-out, like the multi-pin adapter. So I was happy to grab this. It was a little on the pricey side, I'm not going to lie, especially for something that I may not use right away. But there are a couple of reasons that I picked this up. The first one, I mean, geez, look at my shirt. I am such a huge fan of the original PlayStation. I have talked about the original PlayStation on this channel so many times, celebrating anniversary after anniversary and talking about 1997 being my favorite year of console gaming ever, and this console had a lot to do with it. There are issues with this console, however. This console is unfortunately well known for overheating problems, where you have to kind of turn it over upside down in order for it to work right with full motion video. It really didn't displace heat all that well, and future consoles kind of did a better job with that. But getting one in the box, to me, just meant a lot. It reminds me of when I brought my system home when I bought mine on September 9th of 1995. The other thing that's cool about this, as you kind of turn this over, is it actually shows you pictures of the games that were around back then. And there's a game that was pretty interesting to me. It's called Boxing for the PlayStation, and it doesn't say anything else. But if you look at that lineup of games, Jumping Flash, Mortal Kombat 3, Raiden Project, NBA Jam Tournament Edition, hello to my friends NBA Jam the book, and also Insert Coin Documentary on Twitter. How you guys doing? Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, John Madden Football, which didn't wind up being a thing for a while, Shockwave, Warhawk, ESPN Extreme Games, Air Combat, Tekken, Destruction Derby. I mean, so many cool games in that launch window or that first year of release, and I was all for it. I was sold on the system from the get-go when I first saw it, and that never changed. And I'm still a champion for the console, I think. While a lot of people will complain that the graphics don't hold up on a lot of the early PlayStation games, and while I do understand that it was an awkward transition from 2D to 3D, it is still one of my favorite consoles of all time, and I have a lot of, and I do mean a lot, of fond memories of the console. And it's really cool to finally have one that's in the box that I can maybe put up on my shelf up there until it's ready to be used, and it would be a great background for shooting video in this room. So that is what I picked up today. It was an awesome trip. I do want to thank the staff at Retro Games Plus for taking care of me today. I really do appreciate that. It was a trip I did not necessarily intend to make, but I figured I needed to get out of the house a little bit before my last full week of work before my summer vacation, and it was certainly worth the trip. As always, my friends, thanks very much for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. We'll be doing another Unsealed video in another day or two, but until that time, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll do it again soon.